For our next sacred cow, one of our favorite ones, live below your means. How many of you here do not like living below your means? No. That's no fun. It kills people's spirits. And why would you want to live below your means? But many people have to, unfortunately, because the Fed is printing so much money that taxes and inflation go up, which means people are forced to live below their means. Does anybody make comments on living below your means?
Well, if you're on a paycheck, you have that one income coming in, and if you're just one person, you've only got 24 hours in a day to work. So there is a limit to how much you can work to get those paychecks coming in. So in that situation, you are forced to live below your means.
Well, and the key here is to raise your means. I mean, that's the idea. It's not that we want to, you know, be in terrible credit card debt or something like that. Instead, let's raise our means, and so that we can live the way we want to live instead of living at this poverty level.
So why is it that whenever somebody looks at, some advisor looks at if you want to handle your finances, the first thing they look at is how do you cut expenses?
So what does a financial planner tell you? The first thing that they ask you is, what do you need to live on when you retire? They never ask you, what do you want?
Time out. Robert and I definitely do not believe in living below our means.
When we met in 1984, we had nothing. But every year we would get together at New Year's and we would set our goals, you know, health goals and this goals. But we also had asset goals, you know, what goals we were going to add every single year. So that's why it took us only about 10 years from 1984 to 1994 to become financially free. Because we just kept adding assets every year. And we continue to do the same thing today, you know, simply because it's fun. It's exciting.
It is.
One of the best kept secrets is getting rich is fun.
It is fun. It's a lot of fun. And you know, if we want to buy a luxury, if we want to buy a new car, we first buy an asset. So we buy the asset, and the cash flow from the asset pays for the payment for the car.
Yes.
So that it's again, never living below your means. It's expanding your means through acquiring assets that give you cash flow that gives us all those good things in life.
The point here is this. There's assets and liabilities. The way you increase your means is acquire more assets. Not houses, not cars, but assets. So the reason so many people struggle financially is they have no financial education. They may be a good doctor, a lawyer, accountant, or a rock star, but if they don't know the difference between assets and liabilities, and they keep buying liabilities instead of assets, they have to keep living below their means. And not even if you're single or not, if you're on a fixed income, if you're an E and an S, your income is limited. Look, there's 4 major expenses that keep E's and S's poor. Number 1 is tax, and taxes are going to go up because the Fed is printing so much money all over the world. 2 is debt. People leave college with tons of debt, credit card debt to make ends meet, and then their house because they think it's an asset. 3 is inflation. Inflation goes up because as taxes go up and prices go up, then inflation goes up. And 4th is retirement. You must put something away for the day you stop working. So those are the 4 main reasons E's and S's, a general rule, have to live below their means. But if you have financial education and live on the B and the I side, you can increase your means by increasing assets.
I think a lot of people accept mediocrity, and in order to be able to grow in business, in order to make more money, you have to step out of that comfort zone and stop being mediocre.
Or hoping the government's going to save you. I think live below your means is one of the greatest spirit killers there is. There's a lot of people who like being poor. I'm not making it right or wrong, but that's definitely not what I like to do. And Kim and I, we definitely don't live below our means.
No, I definitely do not like living below my means. I've done it when I was in college, you know, and that's because that was exciting times and all. But I get inspired when I have to create. When I get put in a position where I need to create something new, not contract. I want to be bigger than I am, not less than I am. And I think people are being taught to be less than they are instead of inspiring people to be more than you are.
Well, and that's the issue with the idea of a budget, right? A budget is all about cutting. It's all about slicing. It's all about being less than you are. Whereas if instead you were looking at something like a strategy, or you're looking at projections into the future, what can I do as opposed to what can't I do? To me, that's the big distinction.
Well, and a lot of it comes from fear too. You know, I think people are afraid of their futures. They're not sure where the futures are gonna lead them. So they think, well, I'll live below my means. I'll save. I won't allow myself to have this small luxury, that small luxury. And then, of course, you know, they fall off the wagon.
Well, the worst thing is...
And then they feel bad about it.
Yeah,
so
the worst thing is they cut back on their expenses and they save money. Right, Mike? That's the worst thing they could do.
Right.
depreciating money.
It all goes back to the questions you ask. I mean, when you say, I can't afford it, I don't have the money for that, you know, a better question would be, how can I afford it? How can I get the money for that? Expands your mind.
And you know, in my community where I grew up, living below your means was pretty much a step up. Being honest. We didn't have any means, and we didn't live, and we didn't know how to live. It was basically survival. And some of the ways we created those means were, of course, by legal definition, illegal. But you know, that was the way we survived, and that was the way we got by. So now, living below your means is something is completely opposite to abundant living, which is what I believe, in my faith, is abundant living. The opposite of that, to me, is not the way that God intended for us to live.
So that's why I think it's absolutely criminal our school system does not teach us much about money. And what they do teach us, they tell you put your money in the bank, which means you lose more money, and they talk to a financial planner who will put you in mutual funds. That is not financial education. That is educating people to give more money to the rich.
That will also cause you to have to live below your means.
Yes.
That's right.
That's what they're training you to do.
Yeah,
and,
create a budget.
and while you're at it, you're going to be paying more and more taxes because you get no tax benefit for living below your means.
And that's the problem. Is they say to a child, go to school and get a job or become a doctor and lawyer. You will pay more than your fair share of taxes, and then you too will have to live below your means.
If you're playing defense instead of offense, you're just hiding and trying to play it safe and saving money, and you never manifest. You cannot be who you're supposed to be.
I say it's time to get financially educated and take care of yourself.